In 2014, a New Jersey family bought their dream home for over $1.3 million. Before they ever slept a single night inside it, a typewritten letter arrived, signed only "The Watcher," warning, "You know I will be watching." In June 2014, Derek and Maria Broadus closed on a 6-bedroom Dutch colonial house at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey, paying roughly $1.3 to $1.355 million for the property. The home's longtime owners, an older couple, had just moved out after decades in the house, clearing the way for the new family to move in with their 3 young children. Just days after closing, and before the family had moved a single box inside, the first anonymous letter arrived in their mailbox. It was typewritten, unsigned by name, and addressed to the new owners directly. The letter referenced the home's history, claiming that greed had brought 3 previous families to the house, and now it had brought this one to me. It closed with a chilling promise of surveillance. Over the following months, 3 more letters arrived. They grew more specific, referencing the family's children by nickname, and claiming the writer's family had been the guardians of 657 Boulevard for a century. The letters were enough to frighten the Broaduses out of ever living in the home they had just purchased. The house sat furnished but empty, a 6-bedroom property nobody dared to occupy. The family reported the letters to the Westfield Police Department, which opened a formal investigation into who was sending them and why the writer seemed to know so much about the household. Investigators initially focused on a family living next door, but after examining the evidence, police found nothing linking them to the letters, and that line of inquiry was closed. With police unable to identify a suspect, the Broadduses hired private investigators to dig deeper into who the Watcher might be and how they seemed to be tracking the family's movements. The family also consulted a forensic linguist and former FBI profilers, hoping an analysis of the letter's language and tone might reveal something about the writer's identity or motive. Investigators placed hidden cameras around the property, watching the street and the house itself, in case the sender returned to observe the family or drop another letter in person. Postal workers on the route were interviewed, and investigators checked typewriters at local libraries and businesses, searching for a matching typeface or a distinctive pattern that could trace back to the letters. Despite all of it, the exhaustive search for a matching machine, a witness, or a motive turned up nothing. No author was ever identified through any of these efforts. Forensic testing on saliva recovered from beneath an envelope flap indicated the sender was likely a woman, giving investigators a genetic profile to work from, even without a name attached to it. That DNA sample excluded Maria Broadus herself, along with other people investigators examined during the case, ruling out several possibilities but still not pointing toward a confirmed sender. Years into the investigation, the genetic evidence has never matched any known suspect. The sample sits on file, a biological trace of someone who has never been publicly identified. In 2015, the Broaduses filed a lawsuit against the home's previous sellers, alleging the couple had received a similar letter before selling the house and never disclosed it to them. The lawsuit alleged the sellers knew the property came with an unsettling history and chose not to mention it before the sale went through to the new family. And the case became public knowledge after a local reporter uncovered the litigation, bringing the strange story of the letters and the empty house into wider view for the first time. With the story circulating and no end to the letter's shadow over the property, the Broadduses found themselves unable to move forward with the life they had planned in that house. Selling proved difficult too. Buyers were wary of a house tied to an unresolved stalking case, and the Broaduses struggled to find anyone willing to pay what they originally paid. In 2019, 5 years after buying it, the family finally sold the never-lived-in house for about $959,000, roughly $400,000 less than they had originally paid for it. Today, the identity of the Watcher remains unknown. No suspect has ever been charged, and the letters remain one of the more unsettling unsolved mysteries to come out of a quiet New Jersey suburb. The case drew renewed attention in 2022, after Netflix released a dramatized series inspired by the events, reintroducing the story of 657 Boulevard to a much wider audience. Despite that renewed interest, no new evidence has publicly surfaced, The DNA profile, the letters and the motive behind them remain exactly where investigators left them years ago. 657. Boulevard stands today with new owners, its earlier chapter behind it. But somewhere the person who watched that family and wrote those letters has never been named. For now, the story of the Watcher of Westfield ends the same way it began, with a house, a family and a stranger's voice that was never traced back to a face.